Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel where today we are doing my end of September wrap up. So we're going to take a look at everything that I read in the last 2 weeks of September. And we are going to start with The Silvered Serpents by Roshani Chokshi, the second book in the Gilded Wolves trilogy, which is a YA historical fantasy trilogy, and we are following a gang of teenagers who are thieves. But like the stuff that they're stealing, it's much more like I have to research and solve puzzles and then I can finally like actually steal it. So much more Indiana Jones than Ocean's 11. But this gang of thieves has, in this particular book, is hot on the trails of like a really, really big score, something that is very powerful and is thought to have been lost for many years. And if they are able to discover it and steal it, then not only will they have lots of money and acclaim and everything, but multiple people in the crew will be that much further on their own personal goals. And the story goes from there. I really like this. I do have a full-length review, which I will leave linked down below, but I think that this is a really strong second book in a trilogy. Most of the time when you get a second book in a trilogy, it's just like not fully its own thing. It's just connecting book 1 to book 3, but this one was very much its own thing. It was absolutely pushing forward the overarching plot in a very nice way, but this one it just didn't feel like it suffered from second book syndrome. The character development was fantastic. I am so enjoying watching the various character storylines get pushed forward. And I think that it felt like the worlds and the world building was much more settled in the author's mind as she was writing this, because it just felt better, even though nothing was substantially changed. We did learn new information, but it just felt better. But I really enjoyed this once I got into it, as there is one character arc that I did not particularly love, but once I kind of got into it, I read it in a day, and I really enjoyed it. So I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. For those of you following along on my Readathon journey, this fulfilled a Bookopoly-thon prompt specifically to read a book with people of color as the main characters, and we have two in particular in this book. We have Enrique, who is half Spanish and half Filipino, and we have Layla, who is Indian. And then I read When Sorrows Come by Seanan McGuire, the 15th book in the October Day series. The October Day series is an adult urban fantasy series in which we are following our main character of October Day. And she is half fae and half human, and she is a knight, and she frequently solves all of fairy's really weird problems because she's kind of just in the best position to do so. And in this particular book, it is Toby's wedding. We have been building to this for so long. And of course, with Toby, nothing comes easy. So of course, things start going wrong almost immediately. And the story goes from there. And I really, really enjoyed this book as well. This was just a lot of things that readers will really enjoy. This is the 15th book. The cast of characters is huge at this point, and we got to see almost every single character. It was so good. And like, we got to see a lot of interactions that we haven't seen before. We got to see, some things that have been left unsaid finally being spoken, both for good and for ill. Like, it's a wedding, and it felt like a wedding. It felt like the good moments and the bad moments of a wedding. It was just, I really enjoyed it. The storyline, the other part of the storyline where like shenanigans are happening that are not related to the wedding, really, that's much more of an independent storyline. This is not one of the storylines where like the seeds were planted multiple books ago, and now it's coming to fruition. This just kind of happened, although I am pretty sure that there are going to be implications for Toby and her friends for later on in the series. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. The novella at the back was also really great, and I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. For my Bookopoly-thon readathon, this fulfilled the myth, lore, legend, and fairy tales prompt, and it also fulfilled a magical readathon prompt, specifically the Etheria prompt, which is where my character is from, which was to read something with Fae or Elven characters. And then I read Alien Echo by Mira Grant, which is a YA horror. And basically we're following our main character of Olivia, and she is on another planet called Zagreus with her xenobiologist parents, and then the aliens, those aliens from the Alien franchise, show up on her planet, and it's much more now about survival. And this was really interesting. I didn't know what to expect because I had never seen an Alien movie or anything like that. And since this is a tie-in novel, like, it's those aliens. But I really liked it, actually. I really liked our main character and who she was. I loved the family dynamics going on. I absolutely adored learning about this alien planet. And I thought it was really interesting to watch Olivia as she was trying to figure out how to survive and like how to solve these problems that came up with trying to survive. I thought it was all very interesting. However, I will say that I am finding that horror does not inspire any kind of fear or tenseness or anything like that in me. And so, like, it didn't really do that part of it for me, which I think is just more about me and the horror genre rather than the writing in this particular book. But I still really enjoyed it, and I ended up giving this 3.75 stars. So this book fulfilled the monsters prompt for the Bookopoly-thon and the dwarf prompt for my character for the magical readathon, which was to read a science fiction. And then lastly, I DNF'd Locke Key by Joe Hill and illustrated by Gabriel Rodriguez. So this is essentially a haunted house horror graphic novel. And I just didn't like it, honestly. I really didn't make it all that far. I did not like the illustrations. This particular style of illustration is very, very difficult for me to follow what the characters are doing because they look very, very similar between, even when they're feeling different emotions or thinking different things. It's just really difficult for me. But also I just wasn't loving how the story unfolded. It's not that I didn't like the story itself, but just how it was being presented to the audience really wasn't working for me. And I knew very quickly that it wasn't working for me. I made it like around page 4 or 5. I was just like, oh, I don't think this is going to work. And I finally DNF'd it around page 20. So that's unfortunate, but I am glad that I gave it a try. But that is all I read and DNF'd in the last 2 weeks of September. So leave me comments down below. Let me know if you have any thoughts or feelings about what I read or DNF'd, or if you want to let me know what you read in September, I would love to hear it. But that is all I have. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!